Smooth 98.1 Lagos, Nigeria world. Here we are going past 6:30 for Thursday morning, and this is Business Express right here on Smooth Breakfast. I'm Shokwe Martins, and I've got Roses in with me. Good morning, Roses.
Good morning, Shokwe. Good morning to all our viewers and listeners. Good morning to our special guest from Stanbic IBTC.
Yes. And she would be Bimbola Moronkola, who's an equities trader with Stanbic IBTC Stockbrokers. And we've had an interesting conversation already off air. Looking forward to bringing it on air. Yes. Good stuff. Hi, good morning. Welcome, Bimbo. How are you?
Fine, thank you. Good morning, Notice. Good morning. And thank you for having me here.
All right, so people, there's a conversation about to be had, and we're going to be talking about the FX reserves. But in order for you to participate in this conversation, there's some ways that you're going to have to go about it. You can take it over to YouTube and drop a line up on the live chat. We're youtube.com/smooth981FM Lagos. You can also send WhatsApp messages in 20809 444 981, and you can take things over to Twitter by using the hashtag BusinessExpress981. All right, Ruth. Let's get into it.
Yeah, so I mean, there's been a drop in the FX reserves. I think the calculation according to Naira metrics is about 1.9 billion or so in the last 3 months. So I just want to have a conversation around the reserves, the importance, the Naira, the dollar, and so on and so forth. Bimbo, why, for anyone that possibly doesn't know, which would be surprising, why are the reserves so important?
Okay, thank you, Otis. Well, the reserves actually assist the government in meeting its foreign exchange needs, and also their external debt obligations. It also provides a level of confidence to markets, to investors, that the country can meet its external obligations as well. Then it also supports and help maintain confidence in the policies for monetary and exchange rate management. So basically, it's one very important aspect that the regulator needs to manage its exchange rate policies and all that. So very, very important.
So very important, exactly. So why do you think we're seeing this drop that we've seen over the last few months?
Okay, because of course one of the bigger problem with the economy is the fact that we are import dependent, and of course, and when it's more of outflows than inflows in the reserves, it's of course we bring about the drop. And the problem with the inflows is actually basically due to the crude oil theft that we've been seeing, because our reserves is actually majorly funded by the sales proceeds of oil and gas and crude oil and gas to other countries. But because of the crude oil theft in the country, it reduces the exports to those countries, and of course affected revenue and translates to reduction in inflows into the reserves. So that's basically.
So what's the implication? I mean, when people keep seeing the reserve headlines about reserves dropping, or rather, people keep seeing or hearing news reports and reading headlines about reserves dropping, what's the implication of, I guess, falling reserves?
Okay, so especially first, that's another way to measure external reserves is in terms of import cover. Okay, so that's June. The import cover, that's the external reserve was equal to 9.7 months of imports for that's in the country, which means our external reserve could actually adequately cover for 9.7 months of imports, even if there is no revenue inflow into the reserves. But with this drop, of course, that import cover will have reduced and will affect limit the number of imports, as in will not be able to import as much based on the drop in the reserves. And of course, that will translate to, it may affect, for example, the manufacturing sector that are dependent on importation of raw materials or machineries for production. So that will translate and affect production levels. Also, it will mount pressure on the currency. And when the external reserve drops like that, there might be, as in the regulators might need to devalue the currency. So those are two major areas where this drop in the reserves can affect negatively.
Is there any hope, any silver lining in all of this?
And there was this good news I think I saw in Punch 2 days ago that the crude oil production has actually increased to about 1.6 million barrels per day. So of course, if that continues, then that will the increase in revenue for the country, and of course can translate to the increase in the reserves and the inflows into the external reserves. So basically, continuous
So
production of oil will affect us and will be a positive for the economy.
yeah, that is good news. I hope that good news can translate to less fuel queues that we've been seeing. So look, as far as us being too import dependent, or rather, excuse me, we'll get to import dependence in a moment. Dependent on oil, is there a case here for Nigeria to diversify her income so she doesn't depend as much on oil for FX?
Yes, I think that's what has been one of the major goals and objectives of this government, as in the aim for us to diversify and then as in from just oil production. So there's been encouragement in other sectors like agriculture, even encouraging locally made goods instead of us being dependent on finished products being imported into the country. So yes, really, if we can diversify in such areas a way so that we're not totally dependent on only oil, then that would be a good one for the economy, which is something this current government has actually been all about.
Well, what do you make of, if we're going to talk about exports right now, we export a lot of raw materials, but we don't export, finished goods. I don't know. Can we not earn more money there as far as, looking at, I don't know what example is it maybe cocoa beans and chocolates or something. Is there not something to be explored there with respect to Nigeria being able to export more finished goods instead of raw materials?
Yes, as in it's a major point as in where we should explore. Even when it comes to crude oil as well, we're not supposed to be just exporting and the crude oil. We can actually refine and actually finish, and so that we can sell the finished product as well. So it's something we need to look at, as in the government needs to look at, providing infrastructures in place and enabling an environment where production of finished products as also will be encouraged and enabled. And of course, it's a long value chain. But by the time we start producing finished products, that will create more employment for people, and of course generate more revenue for companies and as well as governments. The returns on all those exportation of finished products. Yes, it's a major one that like the country needs to look at and encourage.
All right. So now I wanted to ask you about imports and the whole discussion around us being too imports dependent. So I'm Bimbo. I'm wondering if I should ask you how many items in your office were made in Nigeria as you're sitting there.
And if they were made in Nigeria, how many of the components were actually from Nigeria and not imported?
but no, that's not the question. The question is how we can be less import dependent. How can we be less import dependent? That is, I guess that's the question. That's what everybody's asking. How we can possibly be less import dependent. Bimbo, what do you think?
So, like we said, encouraging local production, not just encouraging, providing infrastructures like amenities, road infrastructures to enable manufacturing companies to be able to produce more, and not just producing more, putting proper controls in place to ensure good quality. Reasons why we are dependent on imported goods are because for some of the items, it's because of the quality of the product, as of the alternative in Nigeria. So if we have better quality and an enabling environment, I guess we'll be less dependent on imports. Yes, that's basically.
Shokwe, do you patronize made in Nigeria goods? Shokwe, be honest.
Yes, I do.
You do?
I actually do. I will go Nigeria first, and then if I can't find it in Nigeria, I'll search the rest of the world. But it's easy to do. But yeah, I do.
What about Bimbo's point on quality? What is it? Is that, do we have a quality issue here?
we have an improved quality issue, because I remember when I first started, I was like, why am I doing this to myself? What is the meaning of life? Why? People, it starts making you question, especially when you receive substandard quality and quality products, and then the customer service is not that great. However, over the years, I've seen a remarkable and marked improvement in the quality of the goods and services that I make use of here in Nigeria. There's still work to be done and there's still improvements to be made, but at least now I'm not tearing my hair out.
Yeah,
But you see, this is. Go ahead, Bimbo. Yes.
I quite agree with it. It seems it kind of as in it's like improvement, and we can actually do more. Yes, I agree with that.
Yeah, but my worry is that we've been having this conversation now for I don't know how long. Everybody has been talking about patronize made in Nigeria, made in Nigeria, made in Nigeria, but it doesn't. We don't seem to have seen. I think like our food, what we make here, our cultural dishes and so on. Yes, we don't, that is definitely something that we enjoy here. But although there are some things we import, but I don't know, we keep having this conversation, but yet we haven't seen that move. I mean, for the last full 8 years of this administration. So I don't know, Bimbo, are you optimistic that if we're to have this conversation on this show, I don't know, 1 year from now or in the future, that anything will change? Do you have any optimism at all on that front?
I think I do. Like I said, government is a work in progress with the policies put in place, the drive by the government to encourage production and all that. I think it will get better. It will continue to get better, but we need to do more. I agree with you in terms of even providing an enabling environment for manufacturers to be able to produce more quality. As in, looking at the cost of production right now, I'm sure it will even affect the quality more, the quality of the products more. So if the environment is as an enable for manufacturers to do more in terms of quality, and like I said, the quality control measures put in place by various regulators, I think we will still do better. People, we all understand, we are seeing the effect of us being independent on imports. It's affecting everyone, FX rate and all that. I guess people are already looking into it inwardly to see how we can make progress. So I guess I feel in the next few years when we have this discussion again, would have actually made a major progress.
I do believe the standards setters and standards organization have a major part to play in this, because when it comes to exports, right, when it comes to working within Nigeria, we know the Niger factor and how we can work our way around things, but there's no workaround when you're on a global level and you're exporting, which is why I think there was a point at which we exported some produce and then it came back to us. And they were like, no, it was returned to sender. It wasn't of a quality that was good enough for us to accept. But there's still room. You've already said it all. There's room for improvement, but we are improving, and hopefully this time next year we're going to see more. Real quick to end the show, let's take some messages. Ayola Kinfala says, we always theorize about diversifying the economy, but there hasn't been any major push towards industrialization across all the sectors. There are some modest attempts by the CBN to encourage exports, but the impact will not be so significant if the bulk of what we export are mostly raw unfinished commodities. Until we're able to invest in our manufacturing capacity, Nigeria will remain oil dependent, and hence, the shortest route to solving our current revenue problem is by fixing the oil theft issue. Simple, says Ayola.
Agreed.
And hold on 1 second. Okay, Ovis from Yaba says, is it not time for us to review our immigration laws to allow passport holders of the USA and other Western countries to visit Nigeria without a visa? I think that would encourage more visits to the motherland and improve our forex inflows if the visitors exchange their dollars with banks at the airport. Just thinking out loud, says Ovis.
Okay. That's a fair point. Maybe we can look into that, although we make money from the visa fees, so that's another.
This one from DJ Chuck. So, well, we've run out of time, so we won't be able to do this. But who knows? Take it over to Marissa's @Rotanquote up on Twitter. DJ Chuck says, can you explain what is happening to the equities market? What's the outlook for this fourth quarter? But we're over time now. So
we're over time, and that's Bimbo area, but what is the talk FX today? Maybe we'll have that next time. We'll look at the FX market.
Right.
Thank you so much.
All right, so
All right.
thank you, Rhodes. So it's like I said, you can find him up on social media at Road Tankard. And also big thank you to our guest, Bimbola Moronkola, who's an equities trader with Stanbic IBTC Stockbrokers. Have a wonderful day, both of you. All right.